Sure. And then do y'all want to do the same questions each time? Like,
I'm gonna do your question every time.
that's what I'm afraid of.
I think you're still before you.
I know.
You're in a good spot.
I would suggest you pick about 5 questions.
Oh, I have. I just meant for each person,
I'm gonna
like,
ask some random questions on this list.
sorry, actually, it's not.
Or maybe they're not on this list.
Y'all ready?
I'm gonna let them ask me questions.
Are y'all ready?
Why are you here today?
Yeah.
Where are you here?
We don't know why not.
All right, good evening. We'll just kind of just call this interview session or work session, as we call it, for board. Evening, I'm John Seifert, District 7 council member, and so welcome you, Ryan, to the interviews for school. Thank you for taking the time to be here. So this is kind of, I know, I think most of us share this sentiment. This is one of our most important jobs, other than passing the budget. So. Excited to hear your thoughts tonight on things about education and what you feel like you bring to the table. So with that, I'll just kind of open it up to you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then quite frankly, I'll ask the first question of why do you want to be a member of the Madison City School Board?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you guys for selecting me. Appreciate the opportunity. My name is Ryan Shekovic. I live here with my wife and my 3-year-old son. I grew up here, been here my whole life. Went to Horizon, Discovery, Bob Jones, and then off to Alabama. There, I graduated in chemical engineering with a minor in general business. From there, I came back here. My current wife and I were still dating at the time. We split up, and she had found a job in Texas, and things worked out. She moved back and got a job with Indo or Bar Pharmaceuticals. They've changed names 100 times now. But when she moved here, we decided to move in together right around the time I proposed to her. I was very adamant that I wanted to be in the Madison City Schools area with us planning a family. I was very important to me. She didn't necessarily want to be all about Madison with all the things that we could do in Huntsville at a young age, but we were here at a good buying opportunity, and I knew the schools were important to me, especially with having a family. So I began work in Decatur at polyester film plant. I was a production engineer. I kind of served as a liaison between the planning crew, the technicians on the floor, and then upper management as well. So kind of served with all 3 of those parties. So I moved from there to a sales position, and then the opportunity opened up with the company I'm with now, Medical Services and Support, for a business development manager. So I moved into that role, and I've been there now for almost 10 years, this will be 9 years this year. And it's in the process of kind of negotiating buying out the ownership. So planning to take that over hopefully sometime this year, but we still have to work out all the logistics with that, and still got to go through everything for my wife. So but that's currently where I'm at. So I guess really I've just been wanting to get back to the community. I love school growing up. I still have lifelong friends that I have gone to school with since elementary school. We are in the Limestone County area, so we would be sort of assumed by the new Russell Branch School. I have a vested interest, obviously, in my son's future.
think so. I think our son's, or my son knows you.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hopefully it means.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I really just wanted to get involved in the community. I was looking on different boards that I could apply for. I saw this one, the communication board, so I applied for that committee and this board position, just seeing what was sick. I thought that maybe I have a pretty fresh perspective. I feel like the, work experience I have now, I have, a lot of communication with a lot of different parties. I know I'm not the smartest person in the room, so I just like to ask the questions and, get back and involve parties. So basically, I want to be involved in helping shape my son's future in some capacity and, those other students in the area, because the school system is what got me to graduate from Alabama debt-free, so, I'm forever appreciative of that. So, yeah, I just really want to be involved in the community.
Awesome. Thank you. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go this way. We'll each ask you a question. I have time for maybe a couple questions each. So then when it's done, we'll give you a quiz on the names. With that, I'm gonna turn it over to Councilmember Denson.
Thank you so much for coming here and caring enough about the kids. The mental health of our students continues to be a significant concern, especially with telework. As a school board member, what do you see as your role in assuring adequate mental health services are provided to your students?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's several things school safety going on, and I know taking classwork from home has been stressful for a lot of kids and has induced a lot of anxiety, I guess, with classwork. I guess making sure that those avenues are available for kids to reach out if they have professionals that they can speak with, or maybe student support groups. Kind of taking away the stigma from asking for help. Whether that's some kind of line process where they can say, hey, I'm feeling stressed in these areas, making sure parents know that these things are available in case they see issues with their son or daughter, and things that they're struggling with as far as school goes. But I think transparency and what's available, letting everybody know they can have these services. There's no shame in using them, honestly. You can't mentally prepare yourself for a day, you're not going to get much done. And I know that's stressful for kids, especially having that lack of time, from school after COVID. But now I guess with the hybrid solution, it's not such a problem. Just being transparent and making sure that there are resources set aside to prioritize that.
So how many of the Board of Education meetings have you attended in the past year?
I have not. So, like I said, my son is turning 3. I've been kind of divested from what's going on in the school system from, shortly after I graduated. So now I was taking more extra role in it because I will be directly affected by it. So I have not. I watched a couple of the streams that they had posted online. It seems like some of them, they don't stream every other one. I had some third-party website that was like Madison or something that had been posting them on Facebook, but it was like a year ago. So I've watched a few of them to see the structure of the meetings, but I have not personally been.
Ryan, thank you so much for applying to this position. My son is also a chemical engineer at Alabama Robot, so
Clearly you're qualified.
school board members must often advocate at the local, state, and national levels to support our schools. Do you have any experience in advocating at any of those levels?
I do not. I would, try to be as transparent as I could with the application here. I'm lacking in those, and I understand that. I feel like certain values that I have, in asking questions, not, feeling like I know everything. I definitely would be the first one to say that I do not. I don't have a problem advocating in front of a group or anybody or speaking with groups, but I do not have any official experience in that.
Thanks for being here. And you're not smarter than me because I'm asking questions. So my question is really kind of direct, but really involved. How would you handle a situation if you disagree with superintendent policy or whatever?
Well, I think the first step is understanding where the disagreement arises and, the underlying factors that led to the disagreement. There may be some commonality in those arguments, and finding, those common grounds first would help to, say, understanding each other's points and, fundamentally voicing, I agree up to this point. That is certainly a challenge. I have had to deal with it several times in my current role. In some sales with some larger companies, we sell voice over IP phone systems, we do data networks, access control. And, we have butted heads, with how things were rolled out and, stepping back and say, I understand the situation, here was why, we did this at the time. We understand now this is what you were expecting, so we can get to the middle point, but, I think backing up and showing, the steps we took along the way, it kind of eases off some of the tension to, provide some more, outlook for how you.
Hey, Ryan. I'm very partial to the class of 2010 from Bob Jones. My son Ross graduated with you, and Ken Jackson's brother Daniel graduated with me too. So, great class, obviously. Now the other stuff, not so much.
That's all.
That's okay. It's all in the family, right? So, just relax. We just want to get to know you a little bit. It's going to be fine. These interviews are, always kind of a little bit awkward because there's no regular flow of conversation. But I just want you to know that we're here. We want to make sure that we make the best decision tonight, but we're just trying to get to know you a little bit. Okay? The Board of Education has regular meetings 2 times a month, committee meetings which vary, and yearly training requirements. Do you have sufficient time to devote to this position?
Yes, I think so. And it would be probably my wife split up child duties currently. Her schedule is flexible as well, so I don't see that problem.
Great, thank you.
Hey Ryan, thank you again, like everyone has said, for putting your hat in the ring and offering to give 5 years of your life in support of our school system. It's always good for us to see our children come back after being in Madison. I think it's an affirmation of how strong our school system is. So one of our questions is, and I'm going to have to tweak a little bit, is do you volunteer in your school system? If so, in what capacity? PTA, community service, extracurricular. And of course, with having a 3-year-old, you haven't quite had that opportunity yet, but I wondered if you could share with us what other volunteer maybe activities you've done, and that kind of will give us an idea of where your heart might be in your mission field.
Yeah, I haven't done a ton with the city. Just to be frank with you, I am fully anticipating coaching baseball when that comes of age. My son loves every sport. He just went to his first Havoc game, so now everything's hockey. As far as the schools go, I always anticipate being involved with PTA. I've always thought about coaching baseball, at middle school or high school level, but everything, to fruition. My wife, she does some work. She is on the chemical engineering board for Alabama. I would volunteer with her. She does recruiting events, but our teachers still ask us to come by. As far as the city goes, like I said, I just started looking to get involved, and in any aspect that I can, I will. I like this position with the feeling, knowing that I'm obviously lacking some of that experience.
Thank you so much.
I want to start back over here. Switching over a little bit to workforce development. So in our schools, we try to make sure that we're preparing the workforce for the next level. Do you feel like Madison City Schools does a good job with that? And are there areas we can improve?
Well, speaking from my experience at the school, when I was there, I kind of felt like it was more so geared to, this college, seemed that way. And that may not have been the case, and maybe it was just that way with some of my friends. Sometimes, especially now with the growing student debt crisis, I feel like there should be, more outreach know that, speaking from my company's perspective, you know, we have had some trouble. We try to get with UAH and things like that, to look for interns over the summer. It's been kind of hit or miss for us for small companies, so obviously we can't pay what large companies can in the area, and we're up against a lot of competition in the field. I think it's definitely something that could be expanded from what I recall. Maybe, you know, like I said, maybe things have changed. And there is trade program is evolving. You know, a lot of my friends ended up changing majors, or kind of, you know, got the vibe like, hey, maybe college was the right decision for me, but I kind of felt like I was pigeonholed into that.
The vision for the Madison City Schools is empowering all students for global success. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it really means me adapting your skills to any situation. I feel like, you know, when I was there, I was adapted to work with a lot of different people at the University of Alabama. I mean, it was such a diverse campus. And Madison's a diverse community, and I never had issues, you know, communicating with anybody and, you know, really, you know, succeed on a global level. I feel like the base you have an understanding of. And so yeah, I mean, finding common ground with everybody, and to my knowledge, from my experience, Madison is a great job doing that.
Good. So our school board, we try to keep it pretty diverse and wide range of personalities on there. So with that being said, with the different backgrounds that are already there, what would you say you would bring to the board that the board doesn't already have? What would you bring?
I think the most glaring thing is my age. Really, I'm young from what I've looked at of the rest of the board. They're a little bit older. They're finishing school, or they've already gone through school. And, you know, different generations have different outlooks on things. I don't agree with my parents on everything, but like I said, we understand that we disagree, and we can find common ground and, you know, what we disagree on. So I think that my age is a little bit different. I can't say, you know, as far as how I grew up in a middle class family here in Madison, like I think a lot of us here did. So I can't speak to any socioeconomic issues, but yeah, I think my age could be seen as a detriment, or it could be seen as, you know, a first base.
Right, let's talk about the elected versus appointed school boards. In Madison County, the Board of Education is selected through the partisan election. In Huntsville, the Board of Education is selected through a nonpartisan election. And of course, here in Madison, we appoint one school board member a year, serves for 5 years. Which is the best way to select our Board of Education?
I do like the appointed model, when you don't have candidates all coming up from a specific district. It, you know, mitigates people fighting for their district more than others. I think in the appointed position, you're kind of, you know, you're looking for the best outcome for all cases, amongst all the schools. So, you know, to me, it seems like a common sense approach, but I understand that there's geographically some, you know, aspects that maybe this district is a little different from this one, have to be organization. But, you know, when you're representing the whole city, and you're not looking at your own best interests, which probably would do on a subconscious level, but I like the model, and that's the city uses.
So back to you. Yes. So how do you feel that Triana, Maximum School System, you know, the part of it, so how do you feel that positively, negatively?
I feel like Triana brings diversity.
I said, growing up in Madison City Schools, I have friends of all walks of life, and I think it's one of the benefits of our school district.
If you could improve one thing about Madison City Schools, what would it be, and what are the greatest areas for improvement that you see in Madison City Schools?
From doing the research and looking at what line, one of the things I saw that was kind of difficult to navigate was communication. It seemed like the platforms that were used were a bit disjointed. There wasn't even one platform that you look at and were able to follow to see what was going on. Like I said, maybe I was looking in the wrong place. I feel like I'm fairly adept to the social media age, but I was looking at a third-party Facebook page to watch, the streams of the meetings, and maybe they do it on the YouTube page. I just couldn't find the right thing. Like I said, just consistent communication where people know where they can find information that's pertinent to them. Like I said, maybe I wasn't following the right thing, but I was having to go to several different pages. I was searching on Reddit to find things that were going on, local news, some YouTube pages, some Facebook pages, some websites, just city websites. So, just an avenue that people can rely on consistent information for, and just subscribe to one thing or a few handful.
Brian, our school board members are very active, as our schools are very active. There's something going on in one of our almost, I believe, we have 9 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 2 high schools. There's a play, there's a sport. Our board members are encouraged to attend activities as they can, and I frequently see pictures of them in the morning car line at 7 a.m. So my question for you is, do your work and daytime commitments give you the flexibility to attend school events or to travel to Montgomery for training or advocacy while the legislature is in session?
Yes, I am fortunate that I'm able to work very flexibly when there are things that I have to attend to that affect our son. My wife has a flexible work schedule as well, so managing those things as long as there's communication. I work, we can cover things. If I need to introduce remotely, I can do that. So I'm in a fortunate position where as long as there's planning involved and I know what's coming up, I can set schedule.
Very good, thank you.
I think we got about 20 minutes, so probably get anyone, so, around each legislative session that we see, there's new education, whether it be from the federal level or the state level. But are there any reforms that you'd be in favor of, or those that you'd not be in favor of?
Reforms that
Just reforms, things to modify the education system in any way, shape.
I am not current on any, reforms that have been presented, so I wouldn't want to, either make a stance on anything.
Sure.
As far as curricula is, concerned that I'm aware of how the Congress will roll out when, that's what we're speaking of and how the decision deals with it. So, from that standpoint, I thought it was pretty silly. I mean, I know it came about right as I was leaving the school system and as I was moving to college, but, seeing people post about how frustrated they were doing their kids' homework the way that they were taught to do it, getting the wrong answers. And, from what I was reading at the time, that there were a lot of communication issues because it was such a vastly different learning strategy and methodology. And, I don't know how the communication was with that parents, but when there's such a large change that's made, it seems like that should be something that's rolled out over a very long period of time with lots of training, having training available to parents, because after teachers, parents look for the people that do the best at all the schoolwork, and if they can't do it, then you have a very angry parent base. But obviously, that was kind of what happened, especially since it was revealed a couple years ago. That's another reason I would be there.
What are your thoughts about the Madison City Schools budget and their priorities and what they do.
So I haven't looked over the budget itself. Obviously, with the schools growing and expecting another 2,000 kids in another 5 years, making sure that there's active space for them, which obviously those efforts are being made with the new middle school and the new elementary school coming online. Obviously, I think that retaining the great teachers that we have should be a priority, so that students are getting the best education that they can. That's where I would think that the focus should be made, attracting good talented teachers and keeping them. If there's regular teacher turnover, there's a lot of inexperienced levels. I know that some of my teachers that I was in school with that walked in these ways have been there for 10, 15, 20 years, and it's nice seeing those faces and always being able to approach them for help. So I would say, focusing on class size and teacher availability so that students and teachers alike aren't trained in the systems that they need to focus on making sure resources are available for teachers to progress their career or retain benefits for training programs.
So on being on the board, how would you quantify your goals if they're being successful, also being carried out? So over a 5-year term, how would you know that you're being successful or the board's being successful? How would you measure that?
So the first I would be by performance of the students, and that's difficult to quantify as well, with really standardized testing being the main way you test that. Maybe scores, quality tests, things like that. Maybe regular surveys of the student bodies, parents after the end of the school year, how do you think things went? Because obviously parents are going to be happy if their kids are succeeding. And home life won't be great if kids are stressed out about their classes. So trying to figure out a way to gauge satisfaction and happiness levels, and getting feedback from parents themselves, getting feedback from teachers, looking at standardized testing, or looking at kids that are graduating with jobs, looking at that holistically is the best way to gauge how well things are going. Whether that's surveys, social media, emails, or whatever that come out, maybe each period, once a year, something like that. You get as much engagement as you can get, but looking at more things than just standardized will be probably beneficial.
What do you see as the Board of Education's role versus the superintendent's role in the school system?
So the board to me is more so oversight and direction. Is more than willing to iron out those details and make sure their goals in the school align with the board's direction or the schools themselves. Obviously, they're the ones doing the day-to-day in the schools, so they have obviously no better than the board. So really just communicating these are the goals for the board, what are your goals for the schools, that we align, we're going to be effort. That's kind of where I see it, more generalized, 10,000 foot level versus the people that are on the ground saying is it working, this won't work.
General questions, I'm about to make one up.
Could be a math question coming, right?
I can promise you will not be a math question or chemistry. So how do you envision the city council, the city itself working with the school?
So, the city council, we really have to, let the schools know what their general goals for the city are, where they're going to be prioritized, and also ask, the board itself if they see any potential conflicts with regards to they were lacking budgeting in this area. I guess it's really just an alignment of goals and where you prioritize that with the city versus education. That's kind of how I manage projects at our work. Pressing what's the dollar amount for this, we need to get this bumped up on the schedule, and speaking with those individuals who do social products to
What's your impression of special ed services in Madison School?
I think the only impression I had was when I was doing some research, I saw that there was recently something brought up, I say recently, in the past few years about having cameras in special ed classrooms. And I thought that was an interesting question. This to me, that completely made sense for that parent who want cameras in those classrooms. When I was there, I obviously didn't have much interaction with it, but seeing that there was not some accountability there, and I would think that that could be beneficial for the schools themselves. You know, just with things that could come up or arise, and you have some oversight there. I couldn't find a resolution to that, whether they got put into the classrooms or not. But generally, I haven't heard any negative remarks other than that.
Ryan, how do you think that the school system can best support teachers in our current environment of increasing demands for achievement, testing, and documentation, along with the additions to the current required curriculum?
So I guess, and I don't know any of this, like, I don't know the level of communication between the board and the teachers, making sure adequate resources are there for the teachers, and ensuring that their classroom sizes aren't growing to an unmanageable level. To my knowledge, with the growth and the footprint growth, I would imagine that being addressed, but honestly, it would be an issue with limited space in the west for Madison, and more students moving in, and the space for that's just going to continue to grow. So having an avenue of communication between the team where you make points, where you lack, you need more development. And if the best manner to do that, I would know it's individualized meetings with school or an appointed person who speaks with the teachers.
No, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Very good, Ryan. I think those are all the questions we've got. I want to turn to time. I go to you to close this out, just your closing statement, basically, and why you think you versus the other candidates.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm sure the other candidates are great candidates as well. Like I said, I feel like I can hopefully bring a fresh face and fresh ideas. Not that the others are poor candidates by any means. But I feel like with my workforce, stops throughout the year, I've been able to learn a lot. Obviously, I went to school for chemical engineering, started as a chemical engineer, quickly decided I didn't want to be a chemical engineer. My wife's a chemical engineer, she's still a chemical engineer. But what I liked the most was, well, really what I learned as I became a chemical engineer at Alabama was how to solve a problem. I had some great teachers at Alabama who really put things in perspective for us. And said, the only thing we're here to do is teach you how to solve a problem, how to break it down in parts, give you some common sense locally. But really what you're going to learn is on the job when you're working with operators, when you're talking to people. When I left that job in Decatur, it was tough for me because, I did think I wanted to move into more of a sales role, but I got really good at that job, and it was only through talking to the operators on the floor, guys that have been doing things for 50 years, guys that have been doing things for 2 years. So, throughout the way, I've been able to build relationships that we work on. Now they're a little bit different, a little more high level, but it's never been an issue. I like talking to people, I like hearing what their problems are, I like trying to find a solution. With what we sell is very adaptable. We can actually sell it to in there and one school for you guys. But we're not a one-size-fits-all, so we have kind of a niche product, and so I like getting to talk to people about how their business operates, how our product can fit in there. So yeah, I like listening to people
thank you, Ryan, I appreciate your time, I appreciate you applying, and, you know, we've got a tough decision ahead, but, you know, it's just nice to see from Madison, we have this kind of quality candidate, so, thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, because I'm thinking, I didn't know if Lisa could go into the back and adjust the sound, or.
Most of them here like that, private. Yeah, no, I.
Okay, or can you move that closer? Just-
I was thinking, when I
Okay.
sat down, I was like.
Well,
oh,
I
this is
just
a
thought
long
it
way
wasn't
away.
just me, it was here, and then it fell.
Oh, did it?
So maybe if it was higher, it would be easier.
I'm just grateful it wasn't
Well,
just
it
me.
is a,
I'm
it
just,
is a lapel here too, so I just feel like, I don't know about it.
just this, I mean, I don't want him to be right on top of us, but
What do
it's,
you ample for?
Okay, Mark, just do whatever you want to.
well, I had a hard time hearing you.
What?
Okay, is that,
Yeah, use the outside voice, Mark.
these are, you putting the mic on? Oh, I mean, can you just show that higher? I was on the right line, and I'm with a passive characters here. Exactly. Well, I did scoot it up a little bit, but I don't want them to feel like we're there in our lap or anything. Okay, this is going to be very good. Yeah. You guys know what I was getting around this.
I guess I'll use the word life.
Exactly. I would just do that. I would just.
Relationships are
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, yeah. I'll show you what he wrote and then you'll. Are y'all asking the same questions or not necessarily?
I was sure that, I was gonna ask you.
Oh, I was gonna ask yours, because I was, anyway. Well,
One question, right? What do you do?
well, I.
Is that right?
Or nice, what do you think?
Yeah.
And you wrote it,
And maybe
and
Renee did.
Renee did.
Okay.
So you have that one.
Okay. Are we asking the same question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be here next year. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to.
I did chemicals at all. Not really.
I studied.
I mean, I really did. I really did.
I studied engineering. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
You know, living here, around Brighton,
Well, this board
A program, or academic program, or aircraft. Brewing, What was that class?
We have some friends that try to do here. They.
Yes, that is right.
Whatever it does. It's all up. It's lit on.
Are these-
Okay, they put them up there, shut them in there, and they put them back. There's your. Well, you could spend 10 minutes and just don't feel bad. Wait. Well, they did it, good again. You're accused.
I haven't turned mine on at all. They're just regular. They can hear me.
What's up for me?
I can hear all of you. I'm just I can hear y'all keep asking.
I think I'm happy to know what you're saying.
I'm thinking at this time.
Can't get that smell out.
Hit the your mic, so you're not gonna turn it on. Okay, there you go. And then you can hear my.
Here you go. Connie, that's why you're the brains of the organization.
Sit down over
I
there.
thought I was the music.
And the music, and the room.
Sit right there so we can hear you.
I really want to be on the school board. Okay.
You're not qualified.
What?
Come your butt.
Pick one.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
We know you can come to school board council, but you go to council school board.
And Tommy did it.
Tommy's temporary though.
No, we were.
No, we did it for him.
All right. I think that worked. Nobody has ever said that they cannot hear me.
You can share mine. I'll share mine.
Okay.
I will not.
We can ask you to hit that.
That's good. Don't ask anything of me. Nothing. When's my high school? No.
Interview, not.
Oh, 6:20.
Am I, hey, am I going to talk to the mic? Can you hear me?
I can always hear.
I have a doctor.
I have several doctors. How about several?
Then here's
Listen, you might pay taxes on your things.
I know. Thanks to us, that's right. And we're going to talk about it.
Come on. Come on.
You wrote it, didn't you? Here, look at my list. I'm trying to.
That was one about how the city council and the board of education work together. You made that one.
That was it.
Okay, I just didn't.
Thank you.
You look like your figures to me. And she did the stuff at the top, which is just right here. No, right, okay, I didn't know. We gave you a different microphone.
We did, Karen.
Yes.
Hey, Kara, how are you? Good. It's good to see you. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much.
Huh?
Because the closed captions just don't work. Yeah. I struggled with the last, so yeah, if you could keep that microphone close, that would be great. Thank you so much.
So send us like there.
That, and then just kind of pop out.
Kara, thank you for being here. Thank you for applying to be a parent school board. And, you know, this is one of our most important jobs, probably aside of doing a budget. And so, you know, take it, you know, very seriously as you should. And, you know, again, thanks for applying. So, I'm just gonna kind of start off with, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then kind of my first question, and then we'll go down the line here, and I think we had enough time for about 3 questions apiece, so, but start off with a little bit about you, you know, and then why do you want to be a school board member?
Well, to start, I'm Kara Sexton Welsh. I am a Madison native. I was born at Huntsville Hospital back in 1981. We moved to Madison 87. I think it was 87. Madison Town Center, that was home. My mother bought a condo there. And when we moved around a little bit, but I grew up here going to West Madison Elementary. I went to Madison Elementary, Liberty Middle School, graduated from Bob Jones. And I left upon graduation, went to Auburn, took an internship in Atlanta, lived and worked in Birmingham, said I would never come back. Never going back there. I'm done with that place. It's all engineers and cow fields. Well, of course I ate my own words, but it was a blessing in disguise, obviously. Moved back, and now we've been residing in Madison since I moved back in 2014. I was in Huntsville for a minute, but when I came back, it was to Madison itself. I bought a house in 2014 right next to Dublin. And we have 3 children. I've got 3 step-grandchildren. I'm not that old, but I do have quite an array of children. And yeah, we're in the Madison City school system again. So that was really what brought us back. Is when I became pregnant and I was starting to, okay, I'm going to have to figure out exactly where I want my kids to go to school. And I knew I was going to do public school again. And it was Madison City Schools is what really brought me back. And with that, career-wise, I am a commercial banker at Redstone Federal Credit Union. I've been there since 2011. And I've worked in an array of positions at the credit union, but I've been very fortunate and blessed. I did consumer lending for quite some time. I did investments in insurance for many years. But now I've been in commercial banking for about 5 years. I really enjoy it, really love it. I love it because I get to work with the community. One of the most rewarding things that I get to do is going out to the community on a regular basis. I'm very active with all of our chambers, for example. So it's been a great blessing being in that position with the company.
And, you know, just a question, I mean, what motivates you to go get it? The pay is awesome.
Oh, I know, the pay is great. No, it's my children. It's my children, and also seeing, I really like, especially teenagers. I know that sounds a little strange, because I've got one now and she's driving me crazy, I'm just being honest. But when I was when I was doing consumer lending at Redstone, one of my favorite things to do was when that kid would come in and say, hey, I just turned 18 and I want to buy a car. And they had no idea what they were doing. But I got to counsel them on, okay, you know what, you're working at McDonald's. That means you got pay stub. Bring me 2 pay stubs. Come back to me in a month. And I would teach them how to build a budget, how to save the money, get a down payment ready. And it was just so rewarding, because then those kids would actually follow me and come to me and say, hey, well, my brother, he needs help. And what was even more rewarding, as sad as it might sound, it was rewarding for them, but even more so for me, is when they would come in and they would say, I've destroyed my credit. I don't know what to do. Or I got kicked out of my house. Or I just got out of rehab. I mean, the stories you would hear were just completely across the board. And they would be in financial dire straits. But they would come to me and ask for my advice, and there were a lot of them that would actually listen to me. And it was just so, it was very gratifying, knowing that I actually was able to pay it forward, I guess. Because I know growing up, you know, when you're in that phase, you're stumbling, you're falling on your face, and you need somebody to really reach out and teach you just just typical finances. I found a lot of kids don't get that today. And I'm so grateful to see that it's changed. Madison City Schools has really changed that. There's been recent legislation put in place that's changed that. So I kind of went off on a tangent. I got passionate.
That's awesome. No, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in and caring enough about the community. I just think that anybody can some questions. Thank you so much. The mental health of our students continues to be a significant concern. As a school board member, what do you see as your role in ensuring adequate mental health services are provided to our students?
You knew I was coming in, didn't you?
That's I ask this question every year.
Do you? Okay. Well, no, I'm excited you asked that, because that's actually one of my passions. recently the Enrichment Center has started a partnership with Madison City Schools. And that is where the licensed therapists actually get to come into the school setting and they see the children on a regular basis. Those therapists are already topped out. So what I would like to see, meaning, and when I say topped out, meaning they're full. They don't have enough therapists, the schools don't. So what I would like to see to do is to add additional therapists to that program. That way, every child at the school would have access to that resource and wouldn't be put on a wait list, for example. My children, I've even had them listed in those programs, and they have been fabulous. They have been wonderful. I've talked directly with the counselors, talked directly with that director, Allison, at the Enrichment Center. I think it's just been a real blessing, and I would like to see that grow and flourish. That's really one of my number one concerns, kids' mental health.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you for being here. I'm a patriot also,
Yes.
once and always. So how many school board meetings have you been here?
I would say at least 10. Yeah, at least 10 recently.
Very good. So glad you know people have been before they decide to.
Yes. Yes, I've been trying to do my homework.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very good. Thank you.
Well, Kara, welcome. I think when I'm out and about, I'm always seeing you out and about.
Yes, ma'am.
Big proponent of the chamber and advocate for our community. As a school board member, you find yourself advocating on local, state, and national level to support our schools. What experience do you have in advocating for schools?
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate with a relative that was actually in state politics. So even back when I was in college, I began visiting Montgomery on a regular basis. But I didn't start advocating until on a regular basis until 2 years ago, and that was with the credit union. We visit Montgomery, go to the conferences, and now that is for credit union purposes. But at the same time, you meet so many people and you build those relationships. In addition, we do go to DC, and yeah, it's a whirlwind, but it's very exciting. I've enjoyed doing it. I'm a big believer in building those relationships and making the connections.
And that's my last question that I'm asking the last person first. Because I had to make all my questions. So what do you see the role or relationship between the city council and the school?
Ooh, it's like a marriage. Yeah. I would really say,
Good one, right?
well, I want it to be a healthy one. How about that? We have to work hand in hand. And again, it goes back to communication. I'm real big on communication. I like transparency. I like the idea of us working with a common goal. And, again, it goes back to, I think that's one reason so many people come back here, just like me, as a boomerang, is they see that collaborative effort with the city, with the school. I mean, to me, it's always been evident. People don't come here because they think the restaurants are great. Let's be real. It's the school system. Yeah. So I compliment you and city council as well in saying that.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Connie?
Good to see you tonight.
You too. Thank you.
The Board of Education has regular board meetings 2 times a month, committee meetings which vary, and yearly training requirements. Do you have sufficient time to devote to this position?
I'm optimistic. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Kara, thank you so much for throwing your hat in the ring, for considering giving 5 years of the future to the school system. Very appreciative that you're here. Would like to know a little bit about your volunteer experience. Do you volunteer in your children's school? If so, in what capacity? Whether it's PTA, community service, extracurricular activity, but also just your general volunteer. Where's your heart? Where's your passion?
Sure. So my children go to Horizon Elementary, and now we're at Discovery as well. I'm a member and I participate with both of those PTAs. I'm doing a school dance on next Thursday night, so don't pray for me. Those are always very interesting, middle school dance.
Oh my gosh.
It's colorful.
Oh yeah.
But they're fun. So that's a good example. I always enjoy doing field day. I really like doing field day. you know, anytime we have any type of, they do a lot of arts and crafts, you know, venues. I know tomorrow night we're having multicultural night, and I'm sad because I'm going to miss it because I actually have a fundraiser with the credit union that I have to go to. So I won't be at school board meeting or multicultural night tomorrow, but I will be at CASA. So what else? I'm with the Redstone Federal Credit Union Community Sponsorship Committee. So in addition to being a commercial banker, we are also a review board that when someone comes to us and asks for sponsorship, we look through those and, you know, and then just like the event I'm going to tomorrow night, it's an event where we volunteer as on behalf of the credit union to represent and do community events, basically. So that's another one. Well, the advocacy team with Redstone, you know, when we travel to Montgomery as well as DC, advocating for the credit unions. It's part of the League of Southeastern Credit Unions. I'm trying to think what else. We recently had started attending Church of the Highlands. We've been there for about a year. My children really like it. My children really, really like that church, so I'm very pleased with it. I know I'm leaving one. Madison Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an ambassador with the Madison Chamber of Commerce. I've got a ribbon cutting on Friday. We have events all the time. I'm a member with the Huntsville Chamber. I was participating much more with actually the Decatur Chamber, the Athens Chamber, and then a few years ago I decided, okay, I've got to focus. I can't do all of these, so it's Madison and Huntsville now. But yeah.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, Carrie, you mentioned earlier about when you kind of first started in banking, you had young people coming in or helping them within the budget and sort of basically. From a school system, primary role is getting them to the next level and helping them develop their workforce, whether that be right after school or maybe after college. What should they all roll in doing that, and are we doing enough?
Can you specify a little bit what should be our role, meaning like the boards?
What should be the board's role in setting that workforce development, school system as a whole? And are we doing enough?
To my understanding, they've had a large success with the high schools. I know they have I believe it's career prep. I know even in the middle school, like that's an elective that was offered to my daughter, and she actually even signed up for it. I don't know if she took it or not, or no, I don't think she took it this semester. But yes, I was very impressed knowing, because when I was at Bob Jones, they did not have that, and now they have to the point where they have multiple counselors. You know, they're going to actually sit down and help guide you, and they have electives that will, you know, take you that step further. I know. We had sort of a co-op program, and that's flourished as well, to my understanding. I know they have the culinary program and so many other things at the high schools now. To my understanding, yes, it's on the right track, but I mean, there's always room for improvement. I mean, we're having to constantly adapt things at Redstone, you know, to go with the times. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw the stock market numbers today, but it was crazy. So my point being is there's always room for improvement.
All right.
The vision for the Madison City School is empowering all students for global success. What does that mean to you?
You're going to fill in with what John was just referring to is you can't leave them high and dry. You know, I would really, it's kind of the gray man. You know, it's always been one of my fears for my children is being the gray man. You know, they're not the star athlete, they're not the star student. They get lost in the middle. So making sure that that everyone has a plan moving forward, whether that be either, you know, military, college, scholarship. I hate to, it's so cliche to say that, no child left behind, but I remember that was something that was so big for the longest in the 2000s because of that bill. But that's really where my head falls. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. That's what I gather from that question. I do understand the point behind it.
Our school board, we strive to have a diverse background with our
my strongest points is with my role at the credit union, I am able to see our financial health on a large scale, but also on a very concentrated scale with our community. And I say that because as a federal credit union, we have I think it's 97% saturation rate in membership in our area. And we're at nearly 1 million members. We're constantly looking at those profit loss sheets of local businesses, communities, and we're seeing right now, for example, with inflation, we're seeing credit card numbers, their balances are increasing while their savings accounts are dropping. So I'm very in tune with the financial health of the community is my point, and those are the parents, kids that are in our school system. So the domino effect. That's really one of the strongest things about it, is to have that kind of an insider knowledge to that. In addition, my children are my number 1 and 2. Well, they're both 1 and 1. They're my priorities. So of course, I want to see the best possible outcome in Madison City Schools.
Kara, let's talk about elected versus appointed school boards. Madison City selects their school board through a nonpartisan election. Madison County selects their school board through partisan elections. And in Madison City, the city council appoints one school board member every year for a 5-year term. Which system is best?
I like the appointed person. I've always been partial to appointed, simply because I do believe their character and merit should be considered as opposed to a popularity contest.
So what impact do you see the growth of Triana on the school system?
Do I see with the growth of Triana's school
The
system?
growth of Triana, how's it impact the school system?
Oh, it's exploded. It's exploded. We were just talking about that earlier. I remember when it was 10 houses and, Officer Fletcher was the only police officer down in Triana. I went to school with his son Nick, and yeah, it was cornfields and cotton fields, and the Murphys owned everything, and I think there was the chicken shack. that was Triana. Yeah, and now it's all houses. You go down there now and it's houses. I mean, and I think it's wonderful that we have adopted them to allow them to come to Madison City Schools. Do we have all the infrastructure in place and all the budgets in place? No, there's always room for improvement, just like we were talking about before. We've got to constantly adapt because we're growing that quickly. I see it at the credit union. I mean, our membership growth is outstanding, but at the same time, it's almost a little alarming, especially just growing up here, seeing how quickly it's changed.
If you could improve one thing about Madison City Schools, what would it be? And what is the greatest area for improvement you see in Madison City Schools?
The number one thing that I would like to see improvement on is going back to, I would like to see up there access to for each child to have a therapist through the Enrichment Center program. It is such a fabulous program. I've always, for example, one reason I'm so passionate about it is I'm very on the fence when it comes to metal detectors. I see the pros and cons of it. But it all goes back to a person's mental health. If someone wants to hurt you, they're going to hurt you. It doesn't matter if it's what kind of weapon it is. And so it all boils down to, that foundation of childhood.
Karen, how do you think that the school system can best support teachers in our current environment of increasing demands for achievement, testing, and documentation, along with the additions to the current required curriculum?
Oh, that was a mouthful. Okay.
Okay, let me rephrase it. It is very wordy. How do you think that the school system can best support teachers just in our current environment of all the other distractions that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Ooh, we do so much for them, but there's always room that can be improved. I would love to say that we could increase all their salaries. I would love to say that. I would love to think that we could do that. I'm not saying that we couldn't. That would be my number one, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because, it's just like anything. The cost of living continues to always increase, so we will always be on that cycle. you. You know, just giving a person that, you know, recognition and gratitude. I think they've been doing a tremendous job in that in recent years from what I've seen, just, you know, trying to go that extra step to let the teachers know how much they're appreciated. The PTAs, for example, I know they really try to make those extra efforts, so I've been very pleased and grateful to see what they've been doing. But there's always, I'm always up for collaborating and hearing additional ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Each legislative session, we see new reform. What education reform would you be in favor of? Maybe the opposite side of that.
Well, I do like the one that Andy Witt recently put in place with the financial literacy. I think that was tremendous. Just teaching kids how to just balance a checkbook. You know, that wasn't something that was taught to me when I was in school. And that's like when I started working at Redstone, that's what I was doing a lot when children were coming in, or teenagers were coming in and opening their first checking account, was telling them, okay, this is your debit card. This is how you use it though. This is not a credit card. There's a big difference. I think really focusing on that aspect of it, even just how to manage a basic account and just a household budget in a high school setting is tremendous. So I would like to see that elaborated on even further.
What are your thoughts about the Madison City Schools budget and the priorities reflected in
I've been very pleased with it. I've kept an eye on it since November, and I've been very impressed. That is one thing that I do at Redstone on a regular basis is construction budgets, for example, when I do a construction loan. And they flow a lot of in the same manner. So I was very impressed when comparing those to my daily job of, from what I could tell, they were managing it very well. In general, you know, I would love to go down and advocate in Montgomery to bring more money to the budget, you know, but that's to say with everyone, what everybody wants from the state, so.
So you're obviously on different boards, as you said, so how on this board specifically would you measure success, and how would you know that your goals are being accomplished on this board? How would you measure that?
My biggest goal is really working as a team. I call it the care show. It's not the care show. This is about working as a team and collaborating, because I can't do it by myself, and none of us can do it by ourselves. I think they have a tremendous foundation already in place, but I do see how I can add to it. But I look at it as a way to collaborate and, you know, for us all to just collaborate to work to the same general goal. Does that really answer your question? Okay.
What is the role of the Board of Education versus the superintendent?
Well, we're kind of like Ed's boss in a way, I guess you could say. I think really it's more of thinking of us as the eyes and ears in the community. And I myself think of it as a good role for that, because given my position of my career path and already how I participate within the community, to help best advise him in making his executive decisions.
You notice everybody else has a long question, and Greg, short question.
I like the short ones. Give me a short one.
Yeah, we get the short, direct questions, because we can't hear it all. So, how would you handle this room with the superintendent?
Calm. Really calm. I'm a big believer in choosing your battles and burning your bridges. So, you know, whatever disagreement it may be, I'm always optimistic that we can find a common resolution.
What is your impression of the special ed services in Madison?
I know it has grown tremendously since I was in school. You know, I remember they were always very classrooms with a decent amount of students. I was remember thinking that they were a little overcrowded at times. In recent years, I do not have as much knowledge about it. I'm going to be completely transparent. I do need to educate myself, especially with everything that is transpiring on larger levels than us right now. That is something that has been my goal, is to learn of how it's going to impact us, because I know a lot of things are coming back to the state level. Like I said, I'm just being transparent. I do not have as much knowledge or experience about it, but I do need to learn more.
I love that answer, because, I mean, I just think that shows that, you know, we all have, every day we learn something new. And I will say, you've already answered my question that I asked before about the work and daytime commitments and flexibility, and it sounds like you have a very flexible job. So I'm going to ask you, how do you feel the school district can improve the academic achievement of students and the professional development of faculty?
Can we improve it?
Yeah.
Continuing education? I mean, that's.
It's a long question, short answer. Just wondered if you had an idea of a continuing education. Thank you.
John, one clarification. I don't know if I missed this earlier, but could you tell us which schools your kids attend today?
No, we're at Horizon and we're at Discovery right now. And then, of course, we'll go to Bob Jones.
Great, I think, those are all the questions I think that we have. So, I'll hand it back over to you for any kind of closing comments or you know, things you want us to know that maybe distinguish you or that, you know, from the other.
Well, I just wanted to ask in general, what is, and this is for any and all of you, what is your ideal candidate for this position?
All of that.
Or
I like that, thank you. It just rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, but seriously, the ideal candidate for this position is somebody who cares greatly for our children and our community, and will put in the time to learn what they don't know about our education system that we have here. We're very proud of where we are and where we've come from, but we know that we can move further. And so the ideal candidate would work together with the people who are already in place on the board and the superintendent to help grow our school system in a positive manner.
Such a great answer. That is awesome. I love that. That's
You have any more?
that's fabulous.
Kyle, you weren't a teacher for that word. I'm gonna add to that though, because I've gotten to know Terry Johnson, Dr. Johnson, quite a bit. I know one of the questions I think that was always her litmus test was, what's best for the kids? Period. Not what's best for the educators, not what's best for the administration, what's best for the kids, because that's what matters. So for me, it's somebody that puts that as their focus, and then doesn't settle for good time.
I like that. That's actually kind of the mentality, the motto of where I work at Redstone is, what is in the best interest of the member? I agree.
Lower loan rates.
Hey,
You ain't applying for a loan, man.
I'm amazed you said Redstone has 1 million members. Wow. I mean, because the population in the area, even the greater areas.
they have a lot of military.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course,
so I mean,
of course,
I have a lot of members there in South Korea.
Sure, sure. Wow.
I do all the credit cards for Philippines.
We actually just canceled the program.
They used to.
We used to.
Okay.
We used to.
Okay.
We still get you a really good credit card though.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Hey, Kara, I would also add that when I first started going into school working, before I was ever on with education, I remember hearing Ray Sturman, who was vice president at the time, say that, well, this Madison City School is so special, that it doesn't matter where you live in the city, your kid is going to go to outside of school. And not every school system can say that. So we want to maintain excellence so that, for example, I have
I know there are three of us here tonight. Are there another night that y'all are having interviews as well?
There are, I'm not aware of.
Okay.
That'll be it.
You won't be. And are y'all just doing this round of interviews, or will it be follow-up, like second interviews?
This is right.
Just this round? Okay, okay.
And we looked at votes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be, whole transparent, our intent, hopefully, is to appoint this kind of money. I know there's several of us, they have a town on the 28th, but our intent is to have, that candidate appointed before the end of the month, so that as the school board, realigns, I think it's the first meeting of May, is that right? Realigns the board, that new member is part of that realignment.
The only thing I had in closing, really, I kind of addressed it, was just, I wanted to make sure that I pointed out, I have a unique financial perspective on a global level as well as locally concentrated, so I really understand, I'm looking at a lot of profit loss statements on a regular basis. And I don't mean to say that as a negative to Redstone. Redstone is healthy as a whole, but we are seeing how the financial state of our country is affecting our members. And so just know that I have that insider information. My heart really goes out to people who are really struggling just to find affordable housing because they have a family of 5 and they have 3 children in the Madison City school system. So those are my members. It's not just my kids. I know these people. I help them daily.
Good. Well, hey, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to come out tonight. So, appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Am I supposed to leave it here?
We also take about 10 minutes.
Renee, are you in town on the 28th?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have a call.
Yeah, that's a point. I think it's,
Just you and Connie.
May, Colin, and Paul take up.
Okay. You will
My
be.
granddaughter's baby birthday is that Sunday, so I have to be back in time.
Will it be Craig and Renee and Penny and me?
Pretty full. That's good.
It's only we have 4.
Is there anything,
It might be meant in that agenda.
Yeah,
Do the pledge and we're done.
yeah.
Yes.
okay,
I won't know it, I won't know anything about the agenda until the 2 days before, right? So, we're just
We have the police advisory committee. Police advisory committee, those terms expire at the end of April, so we'll want to appoint those people, because there are like 5 of them. Yeah, that's the only time I can think of at the end of April.
No, we're not that, we're good.
I think you're doing it, because I think it's 1, 3, 5, and 7, and the police chiefs. And they're going great.
So, right now, this is not the agenda either.
No, we-
It's, nomination up for this for Monday, so we're looking along.
I think if we're going to,
For football as well.
I think that we need to let it be known that we're going to vote on school board on Monday. I think that's an important thing that needs to be published.
Well, so I'll
Put it on.
if, we kind of understand where we're at.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put it on the agenda before.
Right, understood, but it needs to be, we need to do a social media announcement or something.
Okay.
That people.
Well, but the agenda hasn't been published, has it? It won't be published till tomorrow. So we have time.
So
Yeah.
if it's on the agenda, then that's fine, but if it's not on the agenda, then I think it
The
needs to
lady
be
is doing this
something.
the Friday.
Are we starting at 7?
I was,
The next one at
I was, we start at 7 or we start in the next 3 minutes?
Okay, can we say?
3 minutes.
Pressure.
Big talk, big talks, building. But you don't see that same thing. You see literally 3 minutes. Go, some of them lose.
Yeah, she's using the restroom.
It's the same price.
There's all sorts of goodies. We have water, and crackers, cinnamon, nuts.
I've been drinking that all day.
Oh,
Good, thank you.
that's where I'm looking for reference. You're right, you're right. It's
I'll give you whatever you want to taste.
I'll give you all those.
You know, Sarah had to do that. She had to be tased as part of her training. And it is, she sent me the video and I was like, don't ever send me that again. They're really good. Yeah. They're so good. I want you to keep your straight up.
They're good for real.
Thanks for being here.
Don't let him talk to you.
All right, y'all ready? All right. Lisa, we are ready.
I think Ron and
And then we sat there afterwards and went over.
Which is really good.
And sat afterwards and made a decision.
Like, let me get in this bathtub and throw me a toaster. I'm done. Freaking done.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Take care of it, girl.
It's interesting, it's interesting.
He did offer to pay for the lives. Sure, it may have been, but I was like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Need to be.
hey, how y'all doing? Good, how are you? All right.
Good.
Well, hi, good evening, Davina. I'm John Seifert, Councilman for District 7. Welcome for school board interviews. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you throwing your hat in the rain and volunteering for this. Really says a lot. So, really just just kind of want to start off, we're going to each ask you a question. We'll go, I guess you're right to left, and we'll probably ask you, I think, about 3 questions each.
Okay.
So you don't worry about testing. But kind of open it up. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And then kind of first question is, after that is, you know, what motivates you to want to be a school board?
Okay. So, a little bit about me. My name is Davina Patterson, and I'm the Executive Director of Disability Resource Network, which is a Center for Independent Living. We're a nonprofit. We're based out of Huntsville, but we service 13 counties in North Alabama. And so I started out with DRN in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic, and we worked under the Birmingham Center before we could become an independent freestanding center. And so I was responsible for establishing the new center here in the northern region of the state. And I built a team, and we've been operating for about four or 5 years. I'm initially from Eufaula, Alabama. I don't know if y'all know where that is.
So I'm from East LA,
Okay.
in North Alabama.
Okay.
An hour south of Eufaula.
Okay.
We used to go to the lake there all the time.
All right, awesome. Usually when I say Eufaula, most people say, what is that or where is that? So that's my hometown. I've been a resident of Madison for about 10 years. I attended UAB, that's where I got my bachelor's degree. And I stayed there for about 10 years, and I moved to this area because my husband's from Decatur. So, of course, when we got married, we moved here. Been married for 12 years, have an 11-year-old. This is home for us. This is where we're going to settle, and just a little backstory on me.
Thank you. And so with that, I mean, why do you want to be a school board member?
Oh, wow. So I really have a passion for working with the youth, just helping all children excel, but especially, you know, your special needs children with disabilities. Because my focus right now, the center I work for, we work with people with disabilities. So we have a youth transition program, so just working with the youth and working with all children, but making sure those with disabilities get the proper accommodations and the care that they need. From a parent, professional perspective, I think that I could be a resource for the team. So I think I can bring that perspective in. Something a little different, a different perspective, but I think I can be a resource for the parents, the students, the teachers, and the board.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem, thank you.
Thank you so much for caring enough about the children to want to come and apply for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's 5 years of your life to do this, so I appreciate you stepping in.
You're welcome.
Mental health of our students continues to be a significant concern. As a school board member, what do you see as your role in assuring adequate mental health services are provided to our students?
Oh, wow, that's very good. So again, I do work with people with disabilities, which, you know, mental health is considered a disability. It is very important and needed. It's what we call an invisible disability, right? You can't see that disability. So we can always see someone with a wheelchair or even someone that's blind or use mobility devices, but you don't necessarily see bipolar, schizophrenia, ADHD, dyslexia. You can't see those type of disabilities. So I think just bringing awareness to the community, bringing awareness to the education system, bringing in experts, training is great, and connecting people with the appropriate resources. We live here in North Alabama, so Wellstone is our biggest mental health provider, so we're right here with a great quality resource in Wellstone, but there's also some other partners, community partners that can assist as well, such as my organization, Madison County 310 Board, the ARC. You have so many, the Raleigh Center is filled with so much for people with those type of disabilities. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. So our school board is a very diverse group and with different backgrounds, different experiences. Well, what would you bring to the board that doesn't already have?
I come from healthcare, so I'm not sure if y'all have a healthcare person. But most of the time when we think of healthcare, we think of your clinical staff, your physicians, your nurses, your therapists, your counselors. I have a background in healthcare administration. So my role, I do a lot of grant writing, so I can help with funding, making sure that our programs are funded, and that our classrooms, our teachers are getting those funds, maybe some grant writing. I can also assist with, again, with the mental health, the disability, helping the youth transition to their next step. I also would like to see more of the youth work with our nonprofits, give that community service. I know we can't interrupt their school day, but if sometimes we can get some inexcused absence, but an excuse for them to be in the community and do outreach and community service with some of our nonprofits. We don't always have the budgets to hire people. So it'd be great if we could have student volunteers to come out, do outreach and help out. You have small nonprofits that have very large, small staff, small budgets, and we would love to work with the students and get them ready to serve and be a part of the community, have value in the community, but serve the community, because we know that if people are invested in the community and they give back, they'll have a great appreciation for it. So those are some of the things that I can bring, and I'm sure there are some other things, but off the top of my head, those are some great things I think I could do. You're welcome, thank you.
Davina, thank you for applying to this position. School board members often advocate at the local, state, and national level to support our system and our students. Do you have any experience in advocacy?
I definitely have some advocacy experience.
Tell us about it.
Advocacy looks different though. You know, it's not always protesting or, you know, standing on the street. So our organization, we do systems advocacy and we do self-advocacy. So systems advocacy is where we work within coalition groups. We also work with work teams, work groups. We do a lot of legislative work, Capitol, State House, DC, speaking with our legislators about increasing funding. We speak with our legislators about policies and bills that impact the people in the community that we serve. We also do self-advocacy. We don't necessarily legally represent people, but we give them the tools and the resources they need so that they can advocate for themselves, because we believe in empowering people to be independent. So just teaching them how to advocate for themselves, how to communicate with your doctors, your family, your teachers, your landlords, your community, your legislators. So, but some of the advocacy work that I've done, recently I attended the Cover My Alabama Medicaid Expansion Advocacy Day, which was in February. It's led by Cover My Alabama, and we advocated for Medicaid expansion. I've also attended Alabama Arise. They have a legislative day, so some of our advocacy efforts are transportation, untaxed groceries, child care, trying to get funds for child care. And with my organization, we do a lot of advocacy in DC on policies and bills that help, that would impact people with disabilities, such as employment, affordable, accessible housing, transportation, healthcare, and something. Yeah, those are our top priorities: healthcare, employment, transportation, affordable, accessible housing. Those are some of the advocacy efforts that we work on. So I know we're constantly trying to get our centers funded. We're here in the Southeast, and probably one of the lowest funded areas in the U.S. that we're trying to serve our communities with what we have, and we don't always get those big budgets, but we don't stop, we don't give up. You're welcome, thank you.
I'll give you short questions.
Okay.
You can relax.
Okay.
You're gonna be a lot smarter than I.
Oh, okay.
So, with the recent growth in Triana, how do you see that affecting the Madison City school system?
I hope it would be a positive, growth. Huntsville has grown and looks like it's going in a positive direction. I saw that recently, and hopefully we can bring that here. I think they're starting a charter school, so maybe we can do something like that. And I know that they've expanded in New Century, and of course we have Alabama Cyber Tech. So since this is the technology kind of area, maybe we can get something going on over here. But I think that would be good if we can get some expansion going on in the Triana area. Bring more jobs too.
Okay, the Board of Education has regular board meetings 2 times a month, committee meetings which vary, and yearly training requirements. Do you have sufficient time to devote to this position?
I do. I work from home. I am busy, but I work from home. So as the director, I get to manage my own schedule. So I'm available after hours, weekends, and even during the workday. You're welcome.
Davina, thank you so much for considering spending the next 5 years of your life in an unpaid volunteer position. It's a huge sacrifice for time, and that is my question for you. A lot of times the school board attends all the events that they can. There may be a baseball game at Bob Jones, there may be a musical at James Clemens, different programs throughout the school. And I know you mentioned that you have that flexibility for work, but would you be able to also travel to Montgomery for training or advocacy while the legislature's in session? Would you be there at 7 o'clock in the morning at Heritage Elementary School for the car line? The thing with the school board is it could be a 7 a.m. event, it could be a 7 p.m. event. Does your schedule allow that huge flexibility?
Absolutely. I don't work in a traditional work setting. So I can definitely do it, but when I have to travel to Montgomery, a lot of times I'll leave the day before, get a room, so I don't have to. But if I do have to, if I leave that day, of course that's a larger commute than my colleagues that are in Montgomery and Birmingham. So I usually wake up about 4 o'clock to beat that traffic.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I bet you still hit something in Birmingham though.
Oh yeah, all the time.
What should the role of the school system, what should the role be of the school system in helping meet workforce development needs? And is it good enough?
So I do like, some of the schools offer the dual enrollment. I do like that. That's giving the students options to have some type of credits to kind of shorten their college term, and some can go directly into the workforce. I think also few more, if we don't do charter schools, maybe have programs. Like what I've seen in Madison County, they have a medical academy and a tech academy. I think that's good as well to prepare their students for the workforce. And just transition services. Yes, last night I was just at, Limestone County, Athens City Schools. We had a senior transition night where we all came and provided resources to the students to let them know things that they can prepare for their next step in life, how to set goals, and just connect them to resources, programs, initiatives that would benefit them while they're trying to figure out what they want to do in life. So I think a good transition steps program or some type of like a program, job readiness program would be great.
The vision for the Madison City Schools is empowering all students for global success. What does that mean to you?
I think just preparing them to be in a world, in a society where you value and respect all people, regardless of, whatever their walk of life. When you say global, I think, worldwide, international. I'm thinking, all people, diversity, just preparing them to be a great person that's going to be able to be in society and connect with everybody. You're welcome.
So, how many Board of Education meetings have you been to in the past year?
I haven't been to any. I need to make one, don't I? Yeah, I haven't been to any.
Let's talk about elected versus appointed school boards.
Mhm.
Huntsville City elects in a nonpartisan election, their school board members. Madison County holds partisan elections. Their school board members. Here in Madison, we appoint one member of the school board each year by preliminary contest. Which system is the best?
Whatever works for that particular system. There's no right or wrong.
So you'd be happy to run for a school board position?
I would, if I had to. If that was the situation that I was presented, I would definitely do it, or I could do it. But I'm happy with the system that we have now. I don't have any complaints with what's going on here now.
How would you handle a situation when you disagree with the superintendent?
I would listen to his side. I mean, I'm not gonna always agree, but try to support where needed. If it's something that's just so pressing that he needs to see, maybe try to get him to see things a little differently, but my role is always to support leadership. You're welcome.
If you could improve one thing about Madison City Schools, what would that be? And what is the greatest area for improvement in Madison City Schools?
I think it's a great school system. I really don't have any complaints or any negative things, but of course there's always room to improvement. I'm sure once I get into the school system and I see what's going on, I can have a better idea, but on the outside looking in, it looks like a great school system. Great schools. We moved to this area because of the school system, so I don't have anything bad to say, but I'm sure, like I said, once I get in, sometimes you can see things a little bit differently, or you really see what's going on and you can better identify. But just overall, I think y'all do a good job with the surface or the face of the system, so it looks good to me.
Davina, I think you mentioned you have an 11-year-old.
I do.
So, like, which elementary school?
So my son Carter
Uh,
is he goes to school virtual. So after COVID, we decided to stay virtual,
oh,
but he will transition back to public schools. But for right now, he goes to a virtual public school.
okay. And so when he transfers back, like, which school would that be?
He'll be in. So he's a 5th grader. So he'll be middle school. So Discovery.
Okay, all righty.
Discovery's the middle
Well,
school.
my question was gonna be, do you volunteer in the school system, and if so, what capacity? PTA committee, service, extracurricular activity? So I'm guessing that probably doesn't pertain, but do you do any other volunteer type activity in the Madison community?
Okay, so when my son, he was attending Horizon, we did participate in the fundraiser, and we raised a lot of funds for, I think he was in kindergarten. And so they had a competition, and he was actually the winner. He won a TV, that was the prize. But so we support the school system by contributing, donations. At the time, I was working in a different job setting. I didn't have the time to volunteer, but I did make relationships with the school, the administrators, and the staff, and I was active as far as making sure that he stayed on top of his assignments, which he is an A student. He's still an A student, and just attended parent-teacher meetings and whatever. Me and my husband, we would go between each other, but we would definitely be present and involved in those type of activities.
I'm sorry, bring that back. So just to follow up with, and I'm not familiar, my kids are of course much older, so when you say he's at virtual school, under like what umbrella would that be? Is that within the Madison City school system?
I don't think Madison City has virtual,
Okay.
so we didn't have that option.
Oh, okay.
So I think Madison County, we were told they have one. I think Huntsville City just started one, but it's a statewide school. It's called Alabama Connections Academy, and I believe it's based out of Athens.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So each legislative session, we see new education reform taking place. What education reforms would you be in favor of, or contrary to that, not in favor?
Anything dealing with special education, inclusive classrooms, trying to collaborate and give them we call them SPED, but special education programs, the support staff that they need. So anything dealing with special education, collaborative education, inclusive classrooms, I'm all for those type of policies and legislation as far as education goes. You're welcome.
What are your thoughts about the Madison City School budget and the priorities that are reflected in it?
Not familiar, but I haven't heard anything bad, so you must be doing good.
You hear it, there's something bad.
Right. You're welcome.
So being on the board before the people, how would you measure your goals of knowing if y'all being successful as a group? Like how would you measure your progress?
Definitely, we're a team, so we work with the teachers and the administrators to make sure that all the schools are performing at their highest level. So those report cards, I think that tells the story, that really tells what's going on. Those progress reports, the school reports, the rankings, the stats, it really matters. So, reading, childhood literacy. My son is an author. He goes to schools and reads to children and goes to aftercare programs and read to children. We started working with him very young with his reading, so making sure that our children are performing at the levels that they're supposed to be performing at, either at that level or above average. That's gonna really tell me that the job that we're doing. Oh, you're welcome.
Could you describe the role of a school board versus the role of a superintendent in the school system?
I can, because I can definitely identify with that. So as a nonprofit director, I report directly to the board. So the superintendent or the director, in my case, is responsible for the day-to-day operations. And so that's what, you would let them handle that, and then the board does the governing part.
What is your impression of the special ed services in Madison City Schools?
So I really haven't had a chance to work with Madison City Schools special education department